You speak of love as if you still knew what it means. Love? No. What today they call love is merely hormonal commerce, a marketplace of lack where men dispense compliments like currency and women collect them like addicts hunting the next hit of validation. Tragic? No, pathetic. It's obvious. The masculine has become a dopamine dealer, and the feminine, a user begging for the next notification, the next emoji, the next approval. There is no true meeting of forces, only a simulation of presence and emotional bargaining. This is effective nihilism, relationships made of likes, absent spirit, and theatricality. Ah, how the gods of love have fallen. What once was a dance between abysses is now a seduction algorithm. The man need not be grand, he only needs to know which button to press. The woman need not love, she need only see her image reflected in another's desire. Behold the tragic spectacle, no one loves anyone, everyone loves through the other. And you still dare to call this a RE? Relationship. Relationship of what? Of mirrors, of reciprocal lacks. The truth hurts. You do not attract each other. You manipulate each other. Observe the new alpha male, not he who builds, conquers, or affirms life, but he who has grasped the game of emotional scarcity. He disappears, she panics. He reads the message but does not reply. He offers crumbs, she crawls for feasts that will never come. This is not power. It is rehearsed misery, a childish game in which adults pretend to be gods but act like emotional beggars. No one gives themselves, no one sacrifices, everyone protects themselves. And on this battlefield disguised as romance, the victor is the one who loves less. What a lamentable victory. But I tell you, the true man does not play with affection. He does not vanish to be desired, does not lie to be exalted, does not manipulate to be feared. That is a slave's strategy. The noble spirit needs no games. He imposes presence by simply existing. He does not negotiate desire, he provokes it through greatness. Only the weak hide to be remembered. The strong remain visible even in absence. And here lies the paradox. The more authentic you are, the more dangerous you become, because the world is used to masks, and it trembles before a true face. What you call empathy is often just strategy. The modern man learned to name feelings even before the woman expressed them, not out of compassion, but out of dominion. Like a priest who knows the penitent sins before. Confession he does not heal, he controls. He uses sweet words as invisible chains. He mirrors emotions not to connect, but to infiltrate. He is his own psychologist and the other's parasite. Love has become a laboratory, and each interaction is an experiment on human guinea pigs. What a miserable civilization this is, where affection is simulated and care is only a method of capture. But beware, the abyss disguised as light swallows even the most alert. He who manipulates another's feelings soon forgets his own. And then we have emotional zombies, men who know everything about women's pains but nothing about their own abyss, and women who confuse the mirror with the soul. When everything is tactic, no one is genuine, and when no one is genuine, love dies suffocated, not for lack of desire but for excess calculation. People no longer kiss on impulse, no longer touch out of madness. Everything is choreographed, thought out, rehearsed. The theater of passion is full, but the backstage is in ruins. Ah, the lowest of strategies, insinuating that she can be replaced. A seed of doubt, an extra glance, a calculated absence, and done. Fear sprouts, the heart trembles, attachment strengthens. See what you call conquest, provoking jealousy, creating ghosts, invoking imaginary rivals so that love seems urgent. That is not conquest. It is emotional blackmail. The woman ceases to love the man and begins competing with the shadows he himself projected. Tragic, sick, a love fed by threats is a love condemned to rot. The man who needs to suggest competition to be desired is the same who fears being forgotten in the absence of theater. He is not desirable, only dangerous. And there are women who mistake that tension for love. But the elevated spirit knows, he who must be feared to be loved is deep down a slave to his own insecurity. The true man does not threaten, he is the threat. His presence suffices, his silence weighs more than 1,000 speeches, and his absence, that is felt, not because he played with fear, but because he is as rare as lightning breaking the sky. They say, Make her feel she can be replaced. What sublime cowardice! This is the advice of the weak who want to appear strong. Instead of conquering through presence, they try to bind through absence. Instead of inspiring through greatness, they try to tie with fear. Is this how a noble spirit behaves? No, this is the tactic of a servant with wounded ego. True power does not threaten, it is the threat itself. The elevated man need not suggest he might leave. His freedom is so palpable that the mere idea of losing him silences all arrogance. Yet he does not use this as a weapon, because a sword that must be shown has lost its edge. Ah, you believe generating jealousy is a sign of dominance? Foolishness. What you provoke is not admiration, but survival instinct. She no longer desires him. She fears being forgotten. And fear, gentlemen, has never been a bridge to love. It is a leash. Relationships founded on fear are like sandcastles, imposing from afar, fragile at the slightest touch of truth. The superior spirit does not cultivate insecurity in the other to feel great. He makes himself so whole, so rare, so brutally authentic, that any comparison becomes ridiculous. And then it's no longer about competing, it's about honoring. They say a man must be a safe harbor in a woman's emotional storm. Correct. But what I see today are facades, not harbors. Men who have memorized phrases about self-control but tremble inside. Men who fall silent not out of wisdom, but out of fear of losing the little control they have. Presence has become strategy, not essence. They are actors playing the role of steady and serene, while inside they collapse like children without a compass. The woman senses it, she always senses, and however much they pretend, she knows. There is the scent of cowardice beneath the rehearsed perfume of self-control. True security is not a gesture, it is a spiritual density. A man who masters himself in silence carries the peace of 1,000 monks, but also the power of 1,000 warriors. He need not contain a woman's chaos. He is not shaken by it. His energy is an invisible fortress. His word is an anchor. His gaze a mirror revealing truth. But this cannot be taught in videos, learned in forums, or bought in courses. It is won by conquering internal battles, night after night, fall after fall. It's not about seeming strong, it's about being impossible to bend. Women are attracted to status, say the prophets of seduction, and they are half right. Because what they call status is only a showcase. It's the illuminated stage where the weak try to appear great. Cars, positions, likes, followers, a collection of symbols shouting, "Choose me." But the true man does not ask to be chosen. He chooses. He does not flaunt. He transcends. Because his nobility is not measured by possessions, but by presence. True status does not shine. It weighs. And its authority need not be spoken. It is felt. The woman sensitive to status feels this, but not in the vulgar way men imagine. She may be deceived for a time, but her instinct seeks what lies beneath the shell. The imposter trembles when confronted. The genuine man needs no explanation. Inner greatness is silent like a mountain, yet everything around it bows. The elevated man imposes value, not because he displays power, but because he is rare. He is not noticed for shouting. He is remembered for remaining. And the louder the world shouts, the more terrifying his calm becomes. Are the petty tyrants of reason, those who confront women with their contradictions as though wielding a sharp sword. They think they win when they disarm, when they expose, when they force the other's emotional surrender. But what victory is that? A victory over someone you claim to love? What kind of man needs to humiliate to feel great? That is not love. It is sadism disguised as clarity. It is the glow of resentment. And what kind of woman yields to that? One who has forgotten what it is to be revered, because modernity taught that being heard is enough. I tell you, it is not. True love demands mutual reverence. Relationships born of confrontation sustain themselves on tension, but continuous tension does not build, it corrodes. When affection becomes dual, no one emerges whole. The man who feels powerful by dismantling a woman with arguments is the same who trembles before the silence of a woman who needs to prove nothing. True strength is not in winning the argument. It is in being so whole that the other abandons the need to defend herself. To love is not to be right. It is to have presence. And in that presence, Even error transforms into beauty. But that demands greatness. And most men are not great. They are merely reactive. We live in the era of masculine absence. Yes, the bodies are still here, but the spirits have gone. The modern man is polished, adaptable, polite, and empty. He lives apologizing for existing, moderating his voice, asking permission even to desire. He has become a specter, functional, efficient, castrated. The woman senses this, even if she cannot name it. And so she searches for a gaze that contains her, a presence that pierces her, a soul that says, I am. But all she finds are anxious, fragile, needy men disguised as conscious. And the more conscious he tries to seem, the more unbearable he becomes. Because consciousness without axis one is hysteria. But true masculine energy does not shout, does not justify itself, does not argue. It simply is. And when it is, everything around organizes itself. It is the man who enters a room and changes the atmosphere, who speaks little but every word weighs, who does not try to convince but whose conviction is visible. This man is rare. Because he is not trained, he is forged. And what forges him? Confrontation with his own pain, with his own cowardice, with his own abyss. The woman does not desire him because he seems strong. She desires him because he is unshakable. And in this world of unstable souls, he becomes the most desired earthquake. They say, the man who can walk away is the most desired. And again, they repeat truth as if it were a trick. The problem is not the phrase, it is the reason it is used. Because today, even self-respect has become performance. Men threaten to leave to test, to provoke, to appear strong. But that is childish. True self-respect is not used against the other. It simply exists. He does not play, he does not pretend. He simply stands and leaves when he realizes his soul is being drained. And he does not shout, does not dramatize, does not threaten. He leaves, because staying would be a betrayal of himself. The man who truly respects himself is dangerous, not because he is aggressive, but because he is free. He does not negotiate dignity for companionship. He does not trade silence for shallow conversation. He does not accept being needed if that means being small. This man, when he loves, is choice, never lack. When he stays, it is because he desires, never because he needs. And when he leaves, it is not for revenge, it is for integrity. He does not break promises made to another. He simply fulfills first those made to himself. And in this world of bendable men, a man who remains whole is worth more than 1,000 who shapeshift. Look around. It's not only relationships that have rotted, it's the very idea of connection that has been corrupted. We live in a culture of performances, where love has become theater, masculinity strategy, and woman a broken mirror seeking reflection. Everything is image, everything is calculation. Men no longer ask themselves, who am I? Only, what must I say so that she likes me? Women no longer feel, they analyze. Is he applying some technique? There is no more surrender. There is distrust. There is despair. There is emotional nihilism, dressed as empowerment. I tell you, this is modernity's great tragedy. You no longer know how to love because you have lost the capacity to be genuine. And without truth, all affection is forgery. The man who strives to appear strong is already weak. The woman who needs reminding she is desired is already empty. Love between two incomplete beings is always begging. And a relationship built on need will never be a temple. It will be a provisional shelter against the fear of loneliness. But the elevated spirit does not build shelters. He erects cathedrals. He loves because he wants to, not because he needs to. And only that love deserves to be lived. You have turned love into an algorithm. Now desire is fed by notifications and connection by strategies. It is the end of spontaneity. Touch has become a trigger, gaze a tactic, and absence a tool of power. What remains is a dance of lacks dressed as independence. I don't need anyone, they say, while they cry alone, begging for validation disguised as freedom. And I laugh, because true freedom does not shout. It walks alone but in peace. The emotional slave must repeat to himself that he is free, because deep down he knows he is not. If you've made it this far and haven't abandoned the video, perhaps there is a spark within you. a remnant of undomesticated spirit, an impulse that refuses to be molded by formulas, gurus, and cliches, then listen. You don't need to learn how to conquer women. You need to learn how to conquer yourself. And if that sounds banal, leave now. This video is not for stage seducers. It is for soul warriors. And if you're still with me, like this video and comment, I refuse to be just another actor, because the world is full of masks, and perhaps it's time for someone to be real. True masculinity is not about pleasing, not about adapting, not about manipulating with rehearsed smiles. It is the one who carries the pain of consciousness and yet remains standing. He does not live to be liked. He lives to be true to what he is. And because of that, he disturbs. He bothers. Because he refuses to fit. Because he does not accept the role of ideal man created by a culture that hates everything strong, free, and untamable. The tragic man is not perfect. He is whole. He bleeds but does not surrender. He falls but does not dissolve. And for that reason, he is dangerous, because he does not need anyone's love to love himself. And here is the secret no stage seducer will tell you. When a man stops seeking approval, he becomes uncontrollable, because he no longer negotiates his truth for affection. He no longer lowers his voice to be accepted. He no longer alters his essence to be desired. He rises from the mire and says, "This is who I am. And whoever wants to come, let them come. Whoever wants to flee, let them flee. But let no one expect from him a character, because he is presence, he is boundary, he is mirror." And in this world where everyone shouts for attention, the silence of a man who does not bow becomes a scream of eternity. You were domesticated to please. They taught you that being a man means being gentle, safe, predictable. They taught you that your value lies in being chosen, approved, well regarded. But hear this carefully, perhaps no one has told you before. The more you seek to be loved by everyone, the less worthy of love you become. Because a man who lives to be accepted is already dead. He merely breathes, performs functions, smiles, and dies in silence. The elevated spirit does not seek approval, he seeks potency. He does not ask, "What do they expect of me?" but "What does my destiny demand of me?" And for that reason he frightens, because he is free. I am not here to comfort you. I am here to unearth you, to strip away that shell they call personality, and reveal what lies beneath: fury, light, abyss, and ascension. You do not need another technique. You need courage. Courage to be undesirable if necessary. Courage to be abandoned by all but never by yourself. And if this sounds extreme, ask yourself, how much longer will you live as half of yourself, as a shadow of what you could be? As a man domesticated by the need to be liked? The world already has too many clowns. Perhaps it's time for someone to become unforgivably real. You want power over women? Then abandon that question, because as long as your will revolves around the other, you will be a slave, even if 1,000 women kneel before you. True power is not over them. It is over you, over mastering the desire to be accepted, praised, desired, over killing the needy boy who still lives inside you and giving birth to the man who no longer needs to beg for crumbs of affection. As long as you seduce for validation, you're still selling yourself, and every man who sells himself, sooner or later, hates himself. I ask you now, with the voice of eternity, how many lives will you waste trying to please women who don't even know who they are? How many? Games will you still play hoping someone will save you from your own absence? No woman will make you king if you still feel like a beggar inside. No relationship will give you worth if you still despise yourself in silence. The woman worth having will not be conquered with tricks but with presence. And that presence is born only when you stop fleeing from yourself, when you face yourself, when you build yourself, when you finally decide to become a man. And if you truly understood everything, up to here you will now understand what I will say. You don't need a woman. You need purpose, direction, a mission. Women are a reflection. They respond to what you are, not to what you say. And if today they ignore you, test you, replace you, perhaps it is because there is nothing in you that deserves to be followed. They don't want your money, nor your muscles, nor your sweet words. They want your solidity, your verticality, your silence that weighs more than others' screams. And this, my dear, is not learned, it is built, alone, at war with yourself. Therefore listen to me as one listens to thunder ripping the sky of lies. Stop asking for love. Become lovable. Stop demanding respect. Become respectable. Stop chasing. Become the place to which others come. Because the man who chases someone has already lost himself, and the man who has lost himself cannot be loved by anyone, not even by a woman, not even by God. If you want to be loved, let them love you for who you are, not for what you offer. And if no one wants you, let that be the sign that you need to grow, not to bow. I did not come to please you. I came to strip you, to throw you into the abyss of what you have avoided being, because only when you face this void, this absence of greatness, this domesticated soul, this polished cowardice, can you finally be reborn. Most die as they were born, small, and think that this is destiny. It is not. It is choice. A choice made every day, every night, when you withhold yourself, when you adapt, when you smile to be accepted. But there is another choice, the hardest, the loneliest, the one that transforms ordinary men into forces of nature. And that choice begins now. If you felt this video as a punch, great. That was the goal. If you hated what you heard, come back when you're bigger. But if something in you was touched, if something truly hurt, then subscribe to this channel. Not for me, but for yourself. Because here, we do not offer consolation. We offer transformation. We offer pain with purpose. We offer the fire necessary to burn everything that prevents you from being what you were born to be. And I tell you, no woman, no teacher, no God can save you. Only you. And if you have the courage to face this truth, then welcome. The hammer is in your hands.